Hey everybody, thank you for being here so much. Welcome to today's episode. I'm Jose Pacho Correa in this podcast where we're going to talk about strategies on how to help real estate professionals and veterans find balance, clarity, and long-term success. Today, I'm thrilled to introduce to all of you, he's a really good friend of mine. All right. His name is Manish Patel. He's a graduate of the Silva Method. That's a meditation program. Manish has been working with real estate agents, and I know he has been working with veterans and many other groups. But for the sake of this episode, that's where I want to focus most on, right? Because it relates to me and it relates to what I want to speak out to people. He's teaching them how to centralize their mind and body using the inner guidance system. So, welcome, Manish.
Thank you for having me, Pacho. Thank you so much, and for giving me the space to speak about what we do.
Nice, nice. No, thank you so much for being here. I know you're a busy guy. I know you were traveling. But let's dive into everything. All right. Let's start at the beginning. For listeners who may not know, what exactly is the Silva Method?
So, in a nutshell, the Silva Method is this marriage of hypnosis and meditation. Okay, it's when the two have been fused together and come together in a very unique way with practical methodology to use in everyday life and everyday living. And hypnosis is not me making you quack like a duck or bark like a dog. Hypnosis is, people seem to think that, and it's not stage hypnosis, but it's when we access those brainwave states of consciousness that program our subconscious mind. True hypnosis, clinical hypnosis, targets programming the subconscious mind. And most of our subconscious is programmed age 0 to 7. And we run on default with those programs and beliefs. When we say programs, we're talking about beliefs, ideas, thoughts at a subconscious mind that actually rule our life. It's just like the iOS or the processor of a computer. The screen and the display and the apps are on the surface level, but it's the iOS and the processor that really does run everything.
Okay, so good. So is this something like a method that you can use more than just for stress relief? Is it like a tool for making decisions and living in
100%.
clarity?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, you can talk about business people like Steve Jobs, you can talk about inventors like Einstein and Tesla, you can talk about many pioneers in industry who have learned how to use their intuition for guidance to make the right decision. And that intuition is the difference that makes a difference for people to be successful in their life. One of the other books that is very prominent with this idea is Think and Grow Rich. Everybody's heard of Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich. And he
Yes.
talks about what is that special thing that people can do with their mind. And it's actually intuition. And with the Silva method, you'll learn how to tap into not just the central mind, but the intuitive mind by the end of the 4 days.
Nice, nice. I love everything you say because you know I'm always being I think one of your most challenging people to come across with this, right?
You think?
I mean, I believe so, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
for a reason,
And you
because
know what, Patch? I welcome that. I honestly, I welcome that. Today, if I am successful as an instructor, as a neurolinguistic program coach, as a hypnotherapist, it's when people like yourself or others challenge me. And some of my best clients, some of the most successful clients are the ones that and you should challenge. You know why, Patch? Because if you don't challenge me, that means you are in what we call resistance. And we're not talking about, oh, I'm not open to Manish. It's about doubt,
Mhm.
disbelief,
Yes,
right? If you are in resistance, your subconscious is never going to be open to being reprogrammed. So for me to be able to earn your trust to the degree where you are open to that which I'm teaching or allowing you to learn, that's the shift that needs to happen. So when somebody tells me I don't believe your shit, or I think it's woo woo, or I welcome that wholehearted. And you're one of the people who was a skeptic, and rightfully so. And I was too. If I'm honest with you, I was a skeptic before I did it. But at one point, I desired so much change in health and success that I said I'm going to give it a go. You know.
nice. No, good, great. Yeah, you know how we are. We're great friends, like you say, like it's outside of work thing. So I know you work with many groups, but again, in this scenario, we're going to talk about two interesting groups who relate to me. One is real estate agents, and another one is war veterans. So, why those groups will benefit from something like the Silva Method?
Yes, we're going to focus on those two groups, but it can benefit anybody. And we have people coming to us from all ages, from 8 years old to 90 something years old, all backgrounds. Real estate agents, one, fall under the bracket of salespeople, right? In a society where they engage with individuals, with colleagues, a very highly stressful state. I think, Pacho, I think the statistic is that people buying a home is, I think, this the second most stressful decision people make in their life after the partner they choose to marry. That says a lot about the degree of stress. And you, as real estate agents, and anybody in the real estate profession, when they engage with the clients at that level, there's an energy exchange. All right, this is quantum physics. There's an energy exchange. I'm sure you've told me many a times that you spent a few days with you spent a day with clients and you're exhausted, you're depleted, you can't come out and play golf. You're like,
Yes.
I'm done, you know, because you're absorbing that energy. So that, with the real estate professionals, there's a lot about stress management, burnout management, but also goal setting, manifestation or conscious creation. Being able to meet goals, meet um, projected goals and desires of success, right? So it really ties everything together between all of that stress and using your mind to get creative ideas, to get solutions. In the Silva Method, you re-navigate from looking at problems to creating solutions
Nice.
using your creative intuitive mind. And I have to say, with respect to veterans, you are one of my inspirations with that. Okay, knowing your role, you and I being such good friends, a couple other friends of mine, and I said, this is an area that is so needed because there are so many veterans that work so diligently to be functional in society again. And having served our country, having gone through what they have, and people don't understand what they've experienced when they've been away on war. We're not going to get into that level of depth. But for the majority of veterans who are moderate to high functioning, but still experience PTSD, and that starts to prohibit them being successful and entering normal life in all roles, from doctors, lawyers, real estate agents, to business people, to help them navigate past PTSD on their own without medications, if possible, is huge, and it really is something close to my heart.
Nice. Great. No, and I know it is. I know it is. Like you said, we have many conversations in regards to real estate and regarding to veterans and all the different issues that affect not only this group but many people, which is the mental side of it, right? And my next question is, I imagine for real estate professionals, right? Clarity means better decision making and confidence with clients. So, how can you attach this to the Silva method?
Silva Method is going to teach people how to connect with mental rehearsal, how to be able to de-stress at will. Okay, and then to be able to, just like you and I, when we go out to play golf, or an athlete does, or somebody rehearses the steps, or a musician will rehearse physically and mentally. All creation begins in the mind. Any idea is rooted with the seed of the thought in the mind. How do you use that and build on that? And how do you rehearse it in your mind and play it out? How can you get to a point where you can control, manage your state of being from stress to calm and composed, and you know being your best self, right? And in a real estate situation, things can flip in a second, but when you are calm, you make more grounded, intuitive decisions.
That is very needed in this industry. As you said, there's many moving pieces. There's many people involved in it. I mean, the clients only see us, the realtor up front, but behind, I always tell people behind me, there's a team of God knows how many people trying to put this together, right? And they'll never get to see them. Maybe sometimes they get to see one or two other people, but besides that, they don't really comprehend the magnitude of the amount of people that it takes to get them to settlement or to sell their property.
Well, you
And
mentioned something there, not to cut you off. You mentioned something interesting. They only see you, the real estate agent, and there's so many other moving pieces. But what the client sees and relates to is the individual. Now, you have to show up as your best self. They don't know. I mean, Patch, I've talked to you so much. People don't understand that you have PTSD. People don't know. I mean, I know in my early days working with you, I would have never guessed, right? So I don't know what's going on in your head. And the number of real estate agents who possibly face doubt, procrastination, motivation issues, fear. Okay, I've worked with real estate agents, believe it or not, agents who had fear of animals and would have to walk into a house where there may be animals or whatever, you know, even though you have animals put away, and clients don't always comply, to help work with that. But to be self-motivated, how and to be able to get past their own mental blocks. Everybody talks about mindset and the mental space and NLP and all of this stuff. I know we were in one of the meetings and somebody said, hey, it's all in the book, just memorize it. But then that's faking it till you make it. And your clients know. Your clients know. People know. You're dealing with humans. You know, they know that this person, are they really there for me, or are they really there for themselves?
nah, great. No, great way you put it. Now, let's talk a little bit about for the veterans, right? For veterans, and I'm not speaking for every veteran, but I'm basing on me, right? It's about grounding, healing, and learning to trust themselves again. Learning to trust ourselves again is a big part of it. So how is that accomplishable through what you teach?
So I'm going to give you the basic neuroscience. The PTSD, the stress, it all originates in a part of the brain called the amygdala. And that part of the brain is what actually starts to trigger stress. And then everything kind of snowballs from there. What we know is when you practice visualization, imagination, mindful meditation, you shorten, you make that amygdala smaller, and you can actually start to almost use the techniques to erase the trigger memory of stress. One of my, I'll share with you, I have a good friend and a client who was in one of my very first class, who served in the Gulf War, and he's a cardiologist. And in the very first exercise and meditation, he was triggered because there's a sound, and he was triggered with his PTSD. And the circumstances are such that he left the room. I left the room to talk to the front desk of the hotel because we usually do the classes in a proper setting. And as I came back, he was outside and he said to me, Manish, I don't think I can do this. I said, why? He says, it's triggering my PTSD. I gave him a couple of techniques, modalities. One is known as EMDR, moving your eyes left to right. I taught him a couple of breathing techniques, and we went into that meditation. And I can tell you, and actually I just had lunch with him and his wife this last weekend in Washington when I was visiting. And he told me, Manish, after the first day of the 4-day immersion, he said his PTSD was gone and it's never come back. And this is a cardiologist. And now he's more focused, more grounded while on the surgical table as a cardiologist in the hospitals.
That is crazy. Right? Those are the good stories that you want to hear. And you kind of touch a little bit on my next question, right? My next question is going to be, could you walk us through a couple of practical techniques, the Silva Method, that someone can use, a client can use, that is very simple? I don't know. I have heard through your talk about what is it called, the 3-finger techniques, the mental screen technique, the one you say, the breathing technique,
Yeah.
right? Because one of the things when me and you first started talking about this, and you say meditation, right? And I said to you, listen, dude, I'm not sitting down on the floor with 1,000 candles and looking for the preferred lighting and the preferred music. And you started laughing. You say, that's not what you need to do, right? Like you don't need to have this whole setup to meditate. So if you can give us like a practical technique that someone may be able to use. I mean, it's
Practical
gonna be
technique, a really quick practical technique. You cannot be in a state of stress and anxiety and depression and in the state of gratitude and happiness at the same time. So now, if you consciously breathe, if you breathe in through your nose, longer exhale through your mouth, what you are doing, in short, is you're having the conscious mind tell the subconscious, which is what automatically makes us breathe and blink and do so many things. You're having the conscious mind tell the subconscious mind that I got this, I'm in control, I'm safe, I don't need you to take me down the rabbit hole of stress and anxiety. So first of all, by being conscious, being mindful on our breathing and our breath work, we can be mindful of worry and stress and anxiety, or we can be mindful of our breath. And when we do that, we start to lower our brainwave frequency. And we start to shift from what we call beta to the alpha. Alpha is that daydream state, which is the dynamic meditation state. We're not completely in a trance state. We're in a dynamic. Then, and we did this with you, we said, take yourself to a place where you felt totally serene, peaceful, and calm. And I remember you said, I took myself to Puerto Rico. I remember the beach of Puerto Rico, and we said, okay, now see the beach of Puerto Rico, hear the ocean waves, feel the breeze. Was there any smell? Did you hear any sounds other than the waves? And all of a sudden, you start to align to this state of calm, peace, and serenity. And now that you can see it on the mental screen is basically like this projector screen in front of you in your mind that you're seeing it. Now make it almost bigger, kind of like how Iron Man does in Jarvis in the movie. And it is, you play with it, you make it bigger, and you step in. You step into the image that is Pacho on the beach. You're not now just looking at Pacho on the beach. You become one with that image and you feel it as if you are there. Bring back the memory that you're there. That's the difference between visualization and imagination. Visualization is the memory of actually having experienced it. Imagination is something new. Now you can bring yourself back to that memory and say, when you're ready to completely feel it, we would say use your 3 fingers and just do what we call a technique like this. It's an anchoring technique. And you're going to just say to yourself, anytime I need to think this way, feel this way, be this way, this is all I need to do. That is an anchoring technique. You're creating a neuromotor associative link between the state of peace and serenity and this. And as you practice doing it more, you will end up aligning to that state. And if I give you a practical example in real life, Djokovic, I believe, he has an anchoring technique which he does with his cap, his earlobe, his heel, and it's not superstition. But when he knows that he's losing a set, when he knows that he's not in his flow state in his game, right? The tennis player, he does that and takes a breath and he automatically starts to center himself.
all right. So this is something like installing shortcuts into your brain, right? So
Yes,
it's things that we
I
already.
like that.
From what I hear is things that we know that we need to do, and we should do, but we need to find a shortcut. So
Yes.
it doesn't become this, what I said to you. I need to set up a whole room with candles and things like that. So it's a shortcut that you adapt to your
And
brain.
that's the beauty of the Silva Method. There are practical techniques, there are things that you can do that you can start to create. You don't need to, even by the end of the 4 days, you can get into the meditative state within 5 minutes, 5-10 minutes. You don't need to sit and breathe for 30-40 minutes. You literally are trained through that marriage of hypnosis, self-hypnosis and meditation, and you learn the techniques to be able to achieve goals, to be able to de-stress, to be able to get conscious intuitive downloads from dreams, from being able to manifest or co-create things, from being able to understand what are the blocks, what are the limitations within the self that you need to understand. And once you pick them out, once you pluck out those weeds, you're no longer growing them.
Cool. Nice. Appreciate that. So I know you told us a little story about someone that you have helped already in the past, right? So that little story was kind of powerful, right? Because it shows that mind training affects not just the business but the life itself as well, right? So, how you have mentioned like the inner guidance system, right? Can you explain what that really means?
Okay, this is what it really means. This is law of attraction or the law of vibration explained. Everybody's heard of the book The Secret. A lot of people have. Manifesting. Okay. But everything starts in the mind with a thought. Okay? If you go to your garden and you plant a tomato seed, you will only grow tomatoes. You will not grow cucumbers. And so therefore, if you plant a thought of negativity, you will grow negativity in the reality of your life. And the way life works, Pacho, is we've been trained to believe that if we look at the outside world and we see it as a nasty, ugly, vindictive world, we look at that world and we absorb the feeling of, oh my God, I'm scared, it's fearful, it's nasty. And that becomes our internal belief in our mind that this is how I expect the world to be. And we end up attracting more of that, okay? So if liquid water can become ice, ice can also become liquid water. If friction can become electricity, electricity can also become friction. When we start to use the internal mind, we start to go the other way around. We start to get into the mental state and rehearse that, okay, and if I'm a realtor, wake up in the morning, today I know I've got this many meetings with a client, this many showings in the morning, this is where I'm going to be driving and it's going to go well, and this is what I anticipate. I can see my client being happy, then I've got some phone calls, then I've got a meeting with somebody else, and you rehearse the whole day and you maintain the feeling state that you desire. And you're starting to program the feeling state from within, and then the outer reality shows up. This is the science behind manifestation and creating the life. What you think, what you speak, you create. But we're so used to it going from outside in, and we teach you how to be able to do it from inside and out, and then let go and see what happens in your life. And the successes, our stories of success, Patch, are ongoing. That was the difference that made the difference to change my life. Forget
Nice.
anybody else's. This is why I teach it.
Yes. No, I know. I know. You told me your story and things like that. And, and it's funny because like you said, for me, like I think I am a more positive person today too because of you, because I talked to you and this and that. And this morning I did a video in my car, right? Not sure why yet, but a lot of people love my car videos. And it was that like at one point in my life, I always question my blessings. Why is everything going well? Everything's going so well, something bad has to happen, right?
Yes.
Like that negative mentality, even though when something's going well. And I have come to a point, and like I said, because of people like you who's always teaching something positive, like, no, like maybe I have worked hard enough. Maybe I have put in that seed on the ground and it's now flourishing. Like it is okay to get a blessing. It is okay to have a few good days in a row, right? Like I'm at that point of my life where like something good happened, like yeah, it has to, like not being cocky, but I'm like yeah, I work hard for it. You know what I mean? Like my success comes from my working hard, right? Me being this, and it's not that I'm a perfect person, but I am taking things in more of a positive way than in a self doubt way. You know what I mean? And I thank you for that. So
I would say to that, Patch, and I don't get too many thank yous. I'm gonna let the viewers know I don't get too many thank yous from Patch. Are you?
you don't.
I usually get more roasting than anything else. So I'm glad we got this on video. But
You lucky it's recording.
but but seriously, what you said there is that I used to think that that's a belief that you may have somehow incorporated in early childhood, that if something good happens, something bad is around the corner, right? And that's not to say that our parents or us teachers or whoever, way back when were wrong with us. It's that was their belief that they impressed on our subconscious, and because we were open at that 0 to 7, and we are in a theta brainwave frequency, We are easily impressionable. We're like sponges to impressions, and we trust them. So if somebody said, Pacho, if something good happening, something bad's around the corner, so just be careful, that becomes the subconscious belief, and we self-sabotage our whole life until you kind of make the choice. So you say thank you to me, but you've got to own your own power. This is why my brand is Empower Coaching. You empowered yourself to say, no, I can change this. That doesn't have to be the way, and I do choose to change it. And you attract what you are, not just what you think. You attract what you are. So if you are appreciative, and I saw that video and it was a good video, and you said to me, why? Because your energy speaks volumes. You could tell when you talk that you're talking from a place of authenticity, not a place of I've got a script in front of me and I'm just talking, right? And that's
It's
not
like a
authentic.
script.
Yeah. But when you speak from within, your authentic self, your higher self, your spiritual self, whatever you want to call it, authenticity, and the science proves it, authenticity is 40 times more powerful than any other frequency. And that authenticity is your higher self from a place within when you speak your truth. And that's why I think your videos are powerful.
Nice. Thank you. I guess I'm getting something. I'm getting somewhere,
Well,
right?
I gave
That's
you
the
one
message.
back. I gave you one back. We'll start roasting after the show.
Yes. No, so Manish, listen, this has been amazing, and I want to thank you for sharing your wisdom.
Thank you.
Where can people find you if they want to learn more, if they want to start practicing the Silva method today? What is the best way to get a hold of you?
So my email is Manish, Manish, at Silva, Silva, mindset. You can easily contact Pacho, and Pacho, you have my blessings to give my personal information, my cell phone. On Instagram, I am at mindset underscore coach underscore Manish. I do post a lot of videos on there. I'm open to any questions. I'm open to any skepticism, because that's what tells me that you're here for you. And we are looking, between myself, Pacho, and Keller Williams, looking to do a special class for Keller Williams associates, realtors, finance people, leaders, anybody, which is going to be oriented around real estate. Hopefully, we can have veterans as well as anybody else. So you can bring your significant others, and we know how to cater the classes so that we cater the audience that is there, and you can easily take the techniques and apply it to any aspect of your life, even if you're a student, even if you're a homemaker, even if you're an entrepreneur. So this is stuff that is, I often say, it is for everybody when those people are open and ready.
Fantastic. So, for everyone listening, remember your inner guidance system is always there. Whether you're closing a deal or finding peace after service, the Silva method can help you align mind and body. Thank you for tuning in. Until next time, stay centered, stay focused, and keep growing. This was, Jose Correa and Manish with Hablando Success. Thank you all. Till next time.
Thank you.